But of course, they have to draw up a list of other candidates as well. So then Antonio Conte, where does he fit in? Well, I think if this had come up towards the back end of last season when Arsenal was still flying and it looked like Spurs would miss out on Champions League football, it might have been a different story. But as things stand now, you're looking at a manager that is flying with Tottenham, especially in the Premier League, and has been backed by Daniel Levy, which we haven't said too often. Levy has always been fully invested in Spurs, but this particular window, he found that extra 100 million and he let Conte make a number of signings. And if you look at Perisic in particular, that's a very Conte signing based on his age and style, and perhaps not somebody that would have been approved under previous Spurs managers and models. And I think that we've seen a shift with Tottenham towards giving their manager more power in a number of different areas. And I honestly believe that he's very happy at Tottenham. So the reason why we're talking about this is obviously because from Juventus's point of view, he would make a shortlist. Why wouldn't he? And in the long term, it wouldn't remotely surprise me if Antonio Conte is prepared to go back there. But right now, which is key, he's also thinking about signing a new deal at Spurs. And again, social media has gone crazy over this story because they feel like somehow Conte is delaying signing at Spurs and waiting to see what happens at Juventus. But remember, there's always gamesmanship here too, because it's equally as likely that his agent is fueling anything around Juventus in order to get the best possible deal from Tottenham Hotspur. And I think the only challenge for Spurs, and the same can be said of Harry Kane, that I know we'll come on to a little bit later, is they want to get this done now by, or certainly around January. And the reason for that is because they're in Champions League. And if they can tie these players down now, then whatever happens this season, they will have secured their manager and their star striker. Whereas if they say, no worries, we're not in a rush, this is from Tottenham's perspective, and they just let things run, then by January, February, March, if Juventus at that point have tried Allegri a bit longer and feel they need to make a change, or from Kane's perspective, if suitors like allegedly Chelsea come calling, then we'll know a lot more about where Spurs are going to finish. And Tottenham's task is to solidify themselves in Champions League football now, season after season. And where that presents a battle at the moment within the context of the Premier League is they're not going to finish above Manchester City. I think many feel that they won't finish above Liverpool, even though they've not had the best start to the season. That was certainly virtually everyone's belief before a ball was kicked. And then because Arsenal are playing so well, and if Chelsea get their act together under Graham Potter, and with Spurs doing well at the moment too, and even Manchester United having this resurgence under Ten Hag, then somebody, even potentially a team playing quite well, is going to miss out. And if we got to January and Spurs had a lull, and they've started the season very well in the Premier League, but if they were the ones to just drop back a bit, that's when suddenly it becomes, is it going to be Champions League or Europa League? And it runs through the mind of a manager and potentially a striker. But right now, make no mistake, Antonio Conte, if Allegri was sacked today, this very second, he would not quit Spurs for Juventus. It would be a big decision, was an offer to be made, but he's been backed. He's flying at Tottenham, and Juventus are, to be frank, in a mess at the moment. So there may be an affection and an aspiration to go back there. It may be a conversation that can be had in the long term. But right now, when you talk to Tottenham sources, they remain extremely confident, not just confident, extremely confident that whether it's this month or whether it's by early next year, they will get Antonio Conte to sign a new deal.